Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Motivational speaker, coach, God lover, and goal crusher Joe Rivera brings you inspiring leaders, incredible stories, and valuable lessons on how you can change, grow, and reforge your life. Now, here's your host, Joe Rivera.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Reforge Your Life show. I'm your host, Joe Rivera. Hope everyone's having a productive and profitable week. And here at Reforge, we believe that the comeback is possible. That's what we show you here at the Reforge Your Life show. So today, man, I'm so hyped about the guest that I got on the show, man. Good friend of mine. He's an investor. He's a motivational speaker. Andrew Guerrier, my boy, man. Thank you for coming on the show, brother.
What up, my boy? It's a long time coming, bro. Long overdue.
Yeah, it sure has been, man. I'm glad we were able to make it happen. And when we met, bro, we knew that the synergy was there. We knew there was energy, that we were going to be working together. So I'm glad we finally been able to get this together. And I'm looking forward for what the future projects hold also, man.
Sure.
But man, you got an incredible story, bro. And nobody's going to tell that story better than you. So I really want you to share that story with the audience, brother.
Yeah, man. So first of all, I appreciate you having me on this platform, bro. I don't take these opportunities lightly. Anytime I have the opportunity to share my experience and encourage others, man, I really take those opportunities seriously. So for that, I say thank you, brother. But a little bit about me, man. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. My parents are of Haitian descent. So my parents are from Haiti. So I'm like a Haitian American, first generation born American. And I grew up in Miami, Florida most of my life. I now reside in Atlanta, Georgia. And my life has taken a lot of twists and turns over the years. I don't know how far in depth you want me to get into it, if you want to ask me some questions, but yeah, there's so many parts of my life, bro, and we could go on for days, but I want to make sure we stick to whatever it is you want me to share today on your show.
Well, listen, man, I want you to go from where your life started to where that point was where you hit your rock bottom. And then and the bounce back. I mean, because I heard the story. I mean, we shared a stage together, and I heard it. So deliver it that way with that power, and where it's at. It's your story, brother.
Yeah, for sure. So, man, to sum it up, to summarize it, see, my parents, they migrated from Haiti in the late 60s. And like most parents or people from Caribbean countries, Haiti's the poorest country on the Western Hemisphere. So when they had the opportunity to come to the States, they were in hot pursuit of the American dream, right? My father always had this entrepreneurial way about him. My mother, she was more so the supporter. And when they met and got married in New York, my father was already in the collision repair business, right? He was fixing and repairing cars. And he was working for Williamson Cadillac, right? He was working for a Cadillac dealership. And again, he's an entrepreneurial type of guy. He didn't want to work for anyone. So he decided to move to Miami before I was born. Okay. And he wanted to open up his own body shop, his own collision center. But then at that point, he didn't have a whole lot of money. And I remember I was born in the 80s, early 80s, and he and my uncle started talking. And he told my uncle, he shared his vision. And my uncle said, man, what is it going to take to make this happen? How can we make this pop? So my dad was like, yo, I just need to borrow some money so I could get some space, get a garage and set up shop. So my uncle lent my father $8,000. And within a few short years, he grew that into a multi-million-dollar business. Now, although that's a success story, initially, when you hear that, but when you're coming from the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere to now managing and handling millions of dollars, right? My pops went a little crazy. You understand? My pops was new money, right? So my pops was out there splurging, living that lifestyle. He had a very promiscuous life, had multiple women. He and my mother started bumping heads because of a lot of his decisions and spending habits. And I remember my pops would pick me up like with other women in the car and taking them shopping. So I just watched. This was my example as a father. Um, but he struggled with infidelity, and that led to an ugly divorce. And things got really messy in the late 80s, early 90s. Now, I'm not going to necessarily downplay him because even though he was a player, right, he always took care of home, right? My father made sure we lived in the nicest neighborhoods, right? He drove the illest cars. I was always in the new Jordans. I was fly when I was in school. So he was a great provider, but he wasn't always the best example. And then in 1992, I remember my pops was getting money, and Hurricane Andrew hit, right? It was a hurricane category 5 in Miami.
Right.
And he had a new business partner at the time, which was real shady and started stealing from the business, right? And then Hurricane Andrew hit and wiped out his facility, right? He had probably a 16 bay garage sitting on about 3 acres. And if you read the story about Hurricane Andrew, it wiped out several different homes and businesses, and lives were destroyed as a result. And we were impacted by that. So my father, in those times, there were so many insurance claims that some of these companies were actually going out of business because they didn't have enough money to support these claims, or it took years and months to ever get the money from the insurance company. Right. So we went from basically having everything to nothing, like overnight. And I remember my father had a new family at this time. And I remember that my father would have to shake his pockets to give me lunch money. So when you go from a kid from having absolutely everything to pretty much nothing, you talk about rock bottom. He was at rock bottom. I was at rock bottom as a result, but I was used to a certain lifestyle. And I had this image to portray, right? Everybody knew me. I remember they would call me the Fresh Prince because I'll be out there every week with the new clothes, the polo, like, man, nigga, you be stunning, you know? And this is the kind of image and the kind of reputation I always wanted for myself, which is a problem because in some points I was living for people. You know, I was wanting respect from people that really didn't even know me well. And when my father started shaking his pockets to give me lunch money, it got to a point where he couldn't even do that anymore. And I started getting free lunch. Now, you and I, Joe, we old school. You remember how it was in those days when you had to punch in that code to get that free lunch? You got your homeboys in the line looking at you. You understand? And they seeing you got to put in that code for the free lunch. So I was embarrassed. And what happened was my father's new family didn't embrace me and my sister very much. I have an older sister who's 5 years older than me, and things just got real tense in the house. So my sister went off and got her own place and told me to move in with her and that she would take care of me, right? And I bounced around from house to house after the divorce, and I was really looking for stability at this point. And my sister wanted to offer that. So I moved in with my sister, bro. And one thing about living with my sister is she's going to do things for you, bro, but she's also going to throw it in your face, right? So my sister started handling me as though I was her butler, right? And she would tell me, hey, go take out the trash, clean the house, and, you know, pick up my dry cleaning, wash my car. Like, she was extra. And I got to a point, I was like, listen, man, you're not my mama, bro. You my sister. I'm not gonna be your butler. And she's like, all right, well, go get a job. And then I was like, all right. She goes, you need to start helping out around here, paying some bills. You don't like what I'm asking you to do, go get a job. So at this stage in my life, I was a teenager, maybe about 14, 15 years old. And the first attempt that I went to get a job to be gainfully employed, I went to McDonald's. And I filled in the application. The manager came out. He was like, listen, you have all the qualifications to get this job. I would hire you on the spot. The problem is in the state of Florida, you have to be at least 16 years old to be legally employed.
Yeah.
They couldn't hire me. So I went to the next best thing. You know, Miami's the closest city to the water, as you know. The port of Miami is a real thing. And about 80 to 90% of the drugs valet park into the ports of Miami and they get distributed throughout the United States. So the opportunity for me to sell drugs, Joe, was endless.
Right.
Everyone I knew had access to it. Most of my dogs were already trapping. They were already getting money. And they're like, yo, they needed that little young hustler on the team. And I was that guy. Right. So I started selling drugs. I started with marijuana, you know, and because it was my sister's house that I was living in, I would host all these skit parties and I would just trap out the house, bro. You know, hand in hand combat. People come over. I had the vibe, the atmosphere, weed, liquor everywhere, music, you know, and I didn't even have to like be on the street with it. I would trap out the house. So money started flowing, right? And then my sister and I still was bumping heads. And from that point, you know, as I said, I'm Haitian. I got involved with like this Haitian cartel, if you will. And I went from selling weed to now I'm starting to traffic. I'm starting to go up and down the East Coast, mostly through Miami and Jacksonville was one of my frequent stops. And I started bringing drugs up and down the East Coast. And then I got into situations where, you know, one of these guys owed me money and I went to go see him. I had to kick the door down, came in the house with guns, laid everybody down. And my homeboy who I was with, you know, he was a little messy with it. And the gun went off in the apartment of the people we went to go rob or actually collect from. And we stormed out the house. Moments later, somebody radioed us in because, of course, a gun went off in the house. So the neighbors called the police, gave the description of our car. And I put the police on like a high-speed chase for literally almost 2 hours, bro. 2 hours of running from the cops. Had the bird on me, the helicopters, you know, and you know, one thing people know about me, I knew how to drive, bro. And that's one of the reasons why they told me they need the young boy to go, you know, up and down the East Coast because he could drive. And after hours of well, almost 2 hours maybe of running from the cops, and remember, we got drugs and money in the car, we got guns in the car, right? So I'm driving over the bridge and my man is just throwing drugs, cocaine, literally over the bridge. I had a Mossberg 12 gauge, boom, he throwing it out the car. He had a 9mm Smith & Wesson, boom, throwing it out the car because I wanted to make sure if we did get stopped, there was nothing in the car, right, that could, you know, put us in a position to be caught with any possession, right? So when we got pulled over, bro, I ended up hitting the curb. I hit a median and the car spun around and the police put us on the ground, did the routine, you know how that go. And they locked us up. And I remember I was facing 15 to 25 years in prison, bro.
How old were you at that time?
I was 18, man. 2 months after my 18th birthday, bro. I'll never forget. You know, and we was just in Miami. I was spending money like crazy, balling in Miami because it was around Christmas time. And literally December 27th, 1998, I got arrested and my birthday was in October. So it was at this point in my life, bro, I had to make a decision because they were trying to put me and my co-defendant, my partner, they were trying to pin us against each other. They put us in separate rooms. It was like a movie. They were saying, yeah, your man is next door snitching on you right now. You know what I mean? Take this deal. You know what I mean? And they were just trying to get us to go against each other, but we had lived by a code, and thankfully, we didn't break it, and we stuck to it. And we went to trial. I was facing 6 felony charges, facing 15 to 25 years for armed home invasion, robbery, fleeing to elude, possession of a firearm, all these different things. And by the grace of God, because I got to give him the glory and the credit for my freedom and where I sit today. By the grace of God, I had an amazing attorney. Like I paid this dude $600 an hour, and our trial went on for weeks. And as a result of me praying and believing that God's faithfulness will get me through, I remember I told the Lord, I said, God, if you get me out of this situation, I would not only serve you, but I would tell others about you. And he knew I was a man of my word. In the streets, if I said I was going to do something to you, if I was going to come see you, if I'm going to come get this money, I did it. So I took that same aggression and applied it to something positive, to something that has eternal value. And I gave my life to the Lord, went to trial. I beat 5 out of 6 felony charges. So I ended up getting sentenced to 5 years for putting the cops on the high-speed chase.
So when you're going through this trial and you find out, first off, before you find out you're getting the 5 years,
Mhm.
what thoughts and fears are going through your mind in that moment? 18 years old, there's got to be fear, there's got to be worry, all that shit's got to be popping up in your head. So what did that look like?
Man, that's such a good question, bro. You know, when you're 18 years old and you start adding up 25 years on your life being taken away from you, you know, you feel like life is over. Like me and you, we're in our 40s now, but when we was 18, we like, man, 40, you old, your life is over. You know, when you're 18, thinking about 25 years, like, I'm supposed to just be getting home right now,
Yeah,
Joe.
yeah,
You
that's right.
understand? So for me, I was like, man, life is over.
Mm,
And I had a lot of fear. Um, I had a lot of regret, you know, because one thing about me, though I was smart and I was a hustler and all that, I always learned my lessons quickly. Even when I was a kid, I wasn't the kind of kid who got spanked all the time, bro. When I messed up once and got spanked, it probably wasn't gonna happen again. And in the same way, in this situation, I didn't have prison wasn't a revolving door for me. I wasn't never in and out of jail. I got arrested one time in my life, and that was that one time, and never
yeah,
been back. So I was fearful, bro. I was scared to death.
right. And how did you use that fear to lean into faith? Because you said you leaned into God right away, and I'm sure. I mean, I know when I lost my way,
Mhm.
you know, God wasn't, I didn't allow God to be present, right? Because he's always present in our life. It's when you allow him to and you start learning to lean into that faith. What got
Mhm.
you to lean into that faith in that moment to be like, God, you know what? You helped me out here and I'm never gonna do this again. I'm gonna be in forever debt to you because you mentioned you did that. So what got you to lean into that fear and away from into that faith rather than the fear? Because fear and faith could be the same thing, right? It's believing something's there, you can't touch it, you can't feel it, but you know it exists, right? And you could lean into one or the other. I'll choose faith any day of the week now. But how did you know in that moment, like where did that come from?
That's good, man. And again, stop me at any time because I love the dialogue, right? One of the things that I really started reading scripture, bro, and
Mm,
immersing myself in the word. You know, some people say they believe, and that's cool. It's one thing to believe, but it's another thing to actually follow. And the way we follow Christ is we model our life after his according to what's written in scripture. Right.
amen.
So I was studying a lot and speaking of fear, I remember I read this scripture. It said, God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So I
Mm,
started to reflect on scripture. It became almost like my formula, my prescription, right? When fear would try to take over, I'd combat it with scripture, right? So that's what started happening. Even in prison, I started leading Bible studies. They used to call me Deke for deacon, right? Because I come
mm,
through, all the gangsters would come to my Bible studies, right? You know, I was even a teacher's aide in prison, right? So I'm helping these gangsters get their GED. So I really had no problems in prison, you know? So it was in that environment where I was like, Lord, you know, prison was like a 5-star version of hell for me.
mm.
You know, you got people telling you what to do all day, what to eat, people getting stabbed, beat up, raped, right? I seen people get sold for a pack of cigarettes being passed around. And I said, if hell is anything like this, I don't want to be there. And that's when my life totally changed.
So what did the change look like? You did the 5 years
Mhm.
and
Well,
what
thankfully, I didn't
happened?
even do the whole 5 years, bro. Because of good behavior, I did a portion of my sentence in prison and the remainder on probation,
Okay.
right? So when I came home to Miami, I got out, was it 2000? I came home 2000, 2001. And I was like, yo, life would never be the same for me. But it's crazy because I came home on fire for the Lord, looking to get a job, trying to take that positive route, right? But I remember one thing about me, although I was a person of faith, I always still feared poverty, right? So when the money got funny, I started getting tempted to go back to that life. You know,
Right.
when you a young kid making anywhere from 20 to $40,000 in a month, you understand? Like as a teen, you know what I mean? That's a lot of money, right? Even today. And I started seeing myself because I couldn't get a job and or at least the kind of jobs that I was getting, I didn't like. I started getting tempted. And I remember there was this lady who was praying over me and she prophesied over my life. She said, if you ever want to experience true change, you're going to have to change your environment. You got to start getting around people who are conducive to your goals. You know, the Bible says that bad company corrupts good character. And everybody that I was around was not good company. So I had to move to Atlanta, and brother, everything changed for me, bro. I started going to this church and I met a lot of people, was networking. I changed my environment. My living expenses were affordable. Atlanta was like Wakanda, right? That's where all the people go. You know, so I'm in Wakanda now, bro. And I started working for Microsoft. And then I became a sports chaplain for an organization called FCA. So I became like a mentor and a life coach to athletes, primarily football, basketball, and those who ran track. Uh, from there, that opened the door up at a church for me to become a youth pastor. And then I became a missions outreach pastor where I would find ministry partners overseas and lead mission trips, right? So I would take members of our church, a lot of affluent people we had in our church, and I would have ministry partners that we would find overseas and we would go and help to serve them. We would build things, finance things, you know, lead and disciple them. So my life became very interesting. I was doing my dream job, if you will, working in ministry. That led also to investing. I started getting involved in real estate. And then later on in life, you know, I started even today investing in stocks and now doing some stock option trading, right? So I was like this minister entrepreneur, right? And I met my wife and we were together for about 18 years, man. Traveled the world doing ministry. We had a beautiful son who's actually here with me now. Come over here, Phoenix. You know, my son Phoenix is over here chilling out with me now. Say what's up, Phoenix.
What's up?
What's up,
Good.
Phoenix? What's going
This
on,
Joe,
bro?
this is my man Joe I was telling you about.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
Nice to meet you too, bro.
Yeah, so being a father was very important to me. Setting the example for him that I never had was important, right? So my life totally changed, bro. Totally.
Yeah, man. And I just want the listeners to pay attention to this because here's a man who was living the street life, did time 5 years, and the minute he turns his will over to a higher source that he calls God, I call God, someone else might call it the infinite intelligence, universe, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, right? But turning that source over to God, and man, the doors that start opening, the mountains that start moving in his life, and the change that happens from just turning his will over and following that path that God's created. Picked up and left Miami to go to Atlanta. Another thing, right? You're going through difficult times in your life and whatever it might be. Sometimes a new environment is what's necessary. You want to remove yourself from the toxic energy, right? And move to positive energy where you're going to get those positive vibes. Sometimes you got people that you're leaving behind. I'm sure you left a lot of people behind in Miami that you loved, but sometimes you got to love that toxic energy from a distance.
100%. Even
So-
to this day.
So I'm curious though, because let's rewind to before the change happened and before all that occurred. There's challenges that you had to go through, these fears, the self-doubt, the worry. What are some limited beliefs that you had to crack through? Because they're gonna always be there, those limited beliefs. When we reforge our life, limited beliefs have to get cracked through. So I hope everybody listening to understand that in order to make a change, you're going to have to crack through limited beliefs in your life. What are the limited beliefs that you had to crack through in order to see this change, in order to really see the light and start leaning into that faith?
So good. Man, one of the things I had to do was what you said, bro. I had to change my environment. And I started hanging around people who were super successful, successful in their business, in their life, in their relationships, right? So whenever I wanted let's say even my early days in real estate, like when I wanted to start investing and getting involved in how to flip property or rent out property, I found a mentor, right? So the limited beliefs I had changed when I surrounded myself with people who were way more successful,
Mm.
right? And I always was very competitive. I had a lot of confidence about myself, and I would say things like, "Man, if he can do it, I definitely can do this."
Right.
Especially with God on my side,
Mm.
right? With God, all things are possible, right? So that lifted the lid. Like I started seeing things that were happening. Again, Atlanta's a place where a lot of successful people live. And that was one of the things that kind of helped me get over some of my limited beliefs.
What's one thing that your mentor, or give me a list of two or three things that that mentor taught you to help you shift through those limited beliefs?
And you ask good questions, bro. One thing about me is I had several mentors, Joe. I had personal mentors. I had virtual mentors. Like I graduated from YouTube University,
Okay.
right? So when there's people online that I look up to and that's doing successful moves out here and they're putting out content and videos, those people were my virtual mentors,
Mm.
right? And
Mm.
then for business, right? Whatever industry I'm looking to pursue, I will find someone who's already do it and just copy and paste. Then I
Mm.
had spiritual mentors, right? People who were very mature in their faith and been walking with the Lord for years. I still have people I could call when I'm feeling down or when I'm slipping or when I don't feel like, pursuing God aggressively because of life's challenges, right? I have people in place that'll check me to this day. So I built this community, almost like an army in a sense of people that I could refer to depending on whatever situation or problem that I'm facing.
I hope everybody's picking that up because this is a common theme in this podcast, right? Surrounding yourself with people who are ahead of you in the game so that you could get ahead in your life. It's vital for your success to be
Mhm.
with people and surround yourself with people who are 5, 10 steps ahead of you. That's how you're going to get better. Don't get discouraged by being in circles where everybody has more money than you, everybody has bigger businesses than you, everybody has more success than you, because guess what? That's how you become more successful. And this is a perfect example. Drew's telling you how he did it by following the mentors who were steps ahead of him in the game. That's how I got my success, and I still do that. I'm sure you do too. Surrounding yourself with people who are going to be ahead of you, who could teach you something. Because when you're hanging out with people who aren't ahead of you, guess what? You're getting stuck. You're falling behind. You're settling for less than life. So
Even some of the moves you and I are about to start making in the near future, I'm leaning on your expertise because you've been in your industry for 20 plus years.
yeah,
Listen, Joe, all of the success that I've had in my life, bro, didn't come through degrees and accolades. And man, it came through my relationships, bro. Relationships are vital to your success. We're always going to need someone to succeed. So this whole self-made, all that, I'm a boss, that is not the truth, bro. Everyone needs someone to succeed. I don't care if you're LeBron James. Somebody's still signing his checks. You understand? So we
absolutely.
all need somebody. Even if you're a boss or you're a business owner, you got to serve your clients well to succeed, right? So we all need somebody. So relationships are vital to your success.
100%, man. Relationships is a key to success, man. So you got through the limited beliefs. A lot of mentors helped you get to that, and I'm a big believer that when you crack through those limited beliefs, there's core values that are uncovered, and obviously spirituality is obvious as one of your core values. What
Mhm.
are your top three core values that help you when you're having those bad times that you go back. Because I believe that our core values, when something's going wrong, we dig into what our core values are to help us
Yeah.
get out of that bad moment. So
Yeah.
what are your core values that you live by no matter what?
I have several, but I'll reduce it. It's faith, it's having a strong work ethic, it's loyalty. Loyalty's big for me and my friendships and my relationships. Like, if I can't trust you, if I can't do life with you, I can never do business with you, right? So loyalty is important, and not just for me receiving it, but also actually giving it, right? And then I will also say perseverance, bro.
Mm,
Like, we gotta have perseverance. Like, I go through struggles. I'm going through stuff now, right? But it's my will to succeed and to persevere through those hard times, bro, because the storms are inevitable. They're
yeah.
going to come. How do you handle yourself when you're in those storms? You gotta persevere.
Absolutely, man. Life's gonna throw us curveballs. So it ain't gonna be a straight line to your success. You're gonna have bumps in the road. Shit's gonna get fucked up, but you got to be able to
100%.
navigate through those bumps in the road to be able to succeed, right? And you know, you mentioned loyalty, man, and you got to be loyal to the people around you, but also be loyal to yourself. That integrity is vital for success. And you
Yeah,
got to have that integrity with yourself. When you say you're going to do something, you got to do it for yourself, not for the people that are around. It comes for yourself first. Because if
100%.
you can't be real with yourself, how are you going to be real with the people around you?
That's right. 100%. And we always
So,
hear that example every day. If you're on an airplane and it's about to crash, the first thing you do is you put on the mask. Because
yeah,
I can't help you if I can't help me.
absolutely. Absolutely, man. Perseverance, man. I love that because in order to reforge your life, you gotta have perseverance. You gotta have resilience. You gotta be able to fall down, get back up. Fall down, get back up. Because guess what? You've gotten knocked down one more time than you've gotten up.
Yeah.
Always. You're
Yeah.
always gonna get knocked down. But
Yeah.
you gotta get up. That knockdown's always gonna come first.
100%, man. And speaking of knocking, a lot of times, most of us are looking for doors of opportunity to open in our lives, right? But I think one of the things that we have to do is for these doors to open, Joe, we got to keep knocking.
Yeah.
I never go to somebody's house and knock on the door once. It's continual, right? So even in our life, as we're pursuing things and we want doors of opportunity to open, we have to be in search of those things and we got to keep knocking. And when they say no, we go to the next door. This is the resilience you're talking about. And when they say no, knock again. I've been told no more times than I've been told yes, brother. But it was my perseverance and my resilience that kept me going, which is why I've been able to have decent success in my life because of perseverance, man.
Yeah, man. It's vital. It's vital for your success. And every no just gets you closer to that yes. Right.
Mhm.
And as men, we learned that with how many times you got to ask a girl, different girls out before you get one to say yes. It don't happen on the first one.
Yeah, buddy, you right. 100%. Now, sometimes you might land it on the first shot,
Yeah.
but then if she the baddest chick in the school, you gonna have to come with it, man. And then we talk about success stories. We hear them all the time. People like Colonel Sanders, the founder of McDonald's, Ray
Yeah.
Kroc,
Yeah.
Martha Stewart. A lot of these people, if we go down and just Google a list of people who got successful in their 40s and beyond, there's a bunch, man.
Yeah,
You got
man.
people like Samuel Jackson, Martha Stewart. A lot of these guys didn't become millionaires until way later in life. And
Fa-
it's because they kept going.
Yeah, failure is part of success, man. Look at Walt Disney, man. Walt Disney got turned down how many times in a bank before they say
Look,
yes to him?
look,
You know,
which is one of the
in order to
most
succeed, you got to learn how
biggest
to fail.
businesses in the world today.
Yeah, it's absolutely, bro. Absolutely. So, All right, so you got out of prison. You started in the churches. I know there's a little more to the story after that. What happened after, and what are you doing now? So that let's let the audience know what you got going on.
Yeah, man. So currently, I transitioned from working in clergy, working at a church, and I decided to start a speaking business. I've always been coaching and mentoring and preaching and ministering. So I transitioned from actually doing that within the confines of a church to actually going nationwide and even globally. I've had opportunities to speak in other parts of the world, several cities and states in the country. And I'm also still investing. I invest in stocks. I've done real estate, still have property. I trade. Also, I do some day trading. So, I've always had my hands in multiple hats, bro. I'm a hustler. I'm still a hustler. It's just all
That's right.
legitimate.
That's right, brother. I mean, the hustle never leaves. It's just now you turned it into the right direction. Now you geared it towards hustling towards doing the assignments that God's given you, being of service and going out there and helping other people. And man, it's a different shift of energy when you're doing it in that light. You know what I mean? Um,
And
so
just going back to taking L's, like I took a lot of L's over the last 2 years. Like I lost a lot of money investing,
yeah,
right? So people look at you and think it's all nice. This game is real. It's not easy, right?
hmm
But we get back up, we keep going, we trust God. And I can say this, I've honestly never missed a meal or a bill. I've had amazing experiences in my life. I've driven every car I've ever wanted, still live in my dream home, but the L's come with that too.
yeah, of course, the L's are gonna be there, man. You ain't gonna get a W without getting an L. You got to
Mm,
get the L, man. You got to learn to be okay with taking the loss, because guess what? When you learn, as long as you learn from that loss and you don't give up, it's a win. Because the bigger picture is what's on the other side of that L. What's on the other side? That L is not a loss; it's a learning lesson. And what's on the other
so
side of that? Oh man, that's where it's at. Because you got to get
that's
comfortable with being uncomfortable, and it's uncomfortable to lose. It's
That's
uncomfortable to
good,
lose, but
bro.
you
That's a
learn from
quote.
it.
You need to coin that phrase, bro. That whole WL thing, that's
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you know what? That's right. I got,
Freestyling, you free. That was off
yeah,
the
I was a
top. That's
freestyle. I was
you.
off the dome, bro.
On the dome. That was good. There's one thing Nelson Mandela said. He has a famous quote, and I live by it. I mean, it's almost like a creed for me. He says, I never lose. I either win or I learn.
That's right.
And man, when I take those L's, like you said, the L's are now, lessons
Yeah.
learned,
Yep.
and they're hard lessons, especially when you got thousands of dollars on the line,
Oh
bro.
yeah.
I'm not rich just yet. I've done well, but when you losing, even for rich people, they don't like losing money, you
Man,
know?
nobody likes losing money. I don't care who
And
you
I've
are. You don't
taken
like
some
losing.
L's, bro, and the L's became lessons.
That's right. That's right, man. So tell the listeners too, Drew, where they can find you. I know you got IG and all that other good stuff. So give out that
Absolutely.
info, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Drew Speaks underscore on my IG. Website is drewspeaks.com. And that's pretty much the easiest way to find me, bro.
Okay. Okay. Awesome, man. And so a few questions that I ask every guest that comes on, man, is number one, what does the word purpose mean to you?
Mm, man. For me, purpose is everything because it's life-giving. It's waking up every day knowing what you were put on this earth to do. And
Mm,
it's fulfilling. It's
mm,
fulfilling to know that you're walking in your God-given gifts.
yes.
And I always say, in order for people to find their purpose, your purpose is always going to be aligned with your gifting and your passions. So if you can figure out the things that you're gifted and passionate about, more than likely that's your purpose.
Mm. Right. That one thing that wakes you up where you don't even need the alarm clock in the morning, man. You just get up and you go, and God's waking you up and saying it's time to get up out of bed and go walk and live in your purpose.
Yeah. And it's life-giving because we're all in the business of people, whether we like it or not, Joe. We're
Yeah.
in the business of people, bro.
Yes. Yes.
So we
100%.
are supposed to impact lives. We're serving in some way, whether through our business or through our ministries, through our investments. We're here to help make life better for other people. Not necessarily easier, but better for those around us.
Yeah, man, it's a blessing when you realize that. Because I remember, after achieving sobriety, man, and I'm asking God for a long time, like, dude, how do I give this back to you? I can't give it back to you in a physical form. You don't exist physically. I can't give it back to you by saying thank you. There's not enough gratitude in the world to express
Mm.
how thankful I am. You know what I mean? How my gratitude is for you saving my life, not just the 2 times that I overdosed, but what
Mm.
about the times that I drove home that I don't remember how I got home? And God kept
Wow.
telling me, it's like, dude, just go share your story. Your story
Mm.
don't belong to you. If you hold that story that I gave you inside, you're being selfish, man. And man, that shit hit me because I refuse to be selfish. So it's a blessing when I'm around other people who get it, who understand that, our story don't belong to us, man. It's about giving it back. It's
Mm.
about giving this message back and being able to help somebody out there that can be able to listen to that message. That's all. That's what the purpose is. You know what I mean? God's giving it to us for a reason.
I love that. Your story's
Yeah,
not for
man.
you.
And, and,
Mm.
and so, what does the word reforge mean to you?
Man, transformation, bro.
Mm,
Yeah. Reframing your life, transforming. If we're not growing, we dying, bro. You
that's
hear
right.
me? We ain't growing, we dying, man.
That's right.
What are we doing every day to experience growth, like to take our lives in an upward trajectory, right? What are we doing every day to level up, right? We hear that all the time, but what are we doing about it, Joe?
Yeah.
So that kind of that's what speaks to me when I hear that.
Oh man, I love that transformation.
Mhm.
And for the listeners out there and the viewers, there might be somebody out there who's looking to reforge their life. What would you
Mm.
say are 3 steps you would give somebody that's looking to reforge their life?
Yeah, me, I never hide my faith. I'm a man of faith
That's right.
and a God. Um, God is the author and finisher of life.
Woo. Love it.
And, you know, if I'm gonna put together this desk that I'm sitting in front of, I'm gonna look for the instructions. And I'm gonna figure out how to assemble it properly. I'm not gonna try to figure it out myself because something could break,
Mm,
right? So in our lives, we got to understand that there's instructions that come with it to live our best life. So I would first say, find your higher power. Mine is God, Jesus, the Son, the Son of God. That's my faith, right? So that will be the first thing. The second thing is, again, find your passion,
mm,
right? And find what you're gifted at. Because a lot of people have passion for something that they're not gifted in. You feel
mm.
me? Like I know a lot of dudes, Joe, who love basketball, but they can't make a shot. So that's probably not for you. You might be better suited as a coach, but
Yeah.
you ain't getting on the court, right? So find the things you're passionate and gifted about and pursue it aggressively, right? And I think the third thing is, I'm gonna say this because I still struggle with this. Man, learn to enjoy the present.
Oof.
Enjoy the right now. Like sometimes we think I'll be happy when I get here. Then when we get there, we have another thing we're trying to strive for. Then we'll say, I'll be happy when I get there. Like, nah, enjoy the process, bro. Every
Yeah.
day we wake up and we have food in our fridge, clothes on our back, cars to drive, appliances. Like we're doing better than 80% of the world, bro. There's 8 billion people out here.
Yeah.
There's only 400 million in America. So this American mindset, it's not the norm. Like our worst day is somebody's best day overseas, bro. And again, my peoples are from Haiti. I know it firsthand.
Yeah.
So enjoy the present. Be thankful along the way. If you ain't at Ruth Chris right now, man, enjoy Olive Garden. If you ain't at Olive Garden right now, man, enjoy Cookout or Bird, whatever it is. Be thankful and enjoy the process and enjoy the present.
Sometimes I'll take a cookout over a restaurant any day of the week, man.
Do it, son. Especially you in
It
the
depends what
you
the
in the
cookout,
land of
whose cookout it
bodegas.
is.
You in the land of bodegas, so you already know the food is way better at the bodega.
Yeah, man. Nah, but that's so real, man. You gotta stay present, man, because guess what, man? The gift is not where it starts, not where it finishes. It's the in between, all that messy shit that you have to get through and grow through. That's where the gift is, man. So staying present is so important, man, and being in the now and enjoying the moment, for sure.
Tomorrow's not
Love
promised.
that.
You know how that goes.
Yeah, man. Man, this has been dope, bro. I really appreciate you jumping on and us finally getting to do this, man. And I'm looking for us to continue to go out there and create impact together and do some more work together, brother.
Let's do it, my brother. I appreciate you having me, boss. God bless you, bro.
God bless you too, brother. Everybody out there, man. All the viewers, the listeners. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for checking it out. Have a productive, profitable rest of the week, and y'all stay blessed, man.
You've been listening to Reforge Your Life with your host, Joe Rivera. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more about Joe Rivera and how he can help you or your organization reforge your life and regain your place at the top, head on over to withjoerivera.com and follow Joe on all social platforms. The Reforge Your Life podcast was produced by Thrive Loud Productions. Thanks for listening.